Alright, hey everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to The King's Speech. So we're going to dive straight into Chapter 3 of Akane Banashi here in just a minute. A couple of quick things before we do. I forgot to mention in my other videos, but if you do hear noise in the background, I have a fan running. It has been intensely hot, so to make sure I don't melt, fan has been on, but it shouldn't drown out my voice or anything. It should only be noticeable when I stop talking or if there's a lull. Apart from that, I did do some tests, so it shouldn't drown out my voice or anything. It should be fine apart from that. With that said, if you like my content, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. So you can get things like Akane Banashi and other new projects added to the channel for some good variety. And without further ado, let us dive straight into it with Akane Banashi Story 3 First Performance, with story by Yuki Suwanaga, art by Takamasa Moe, translation by Stephen Paul, lettering by Sneer Aaron. And we have the Rakugo Cafe with Shiguma Arakawa sending her an email saying, "Miss Yoshino, Rakugo Cafe. Ask for the replacement something, request regarding the something sent over to you." And here, "Miss Yoshino, it's confirmed. Today's performer is going to be 20 to 30 minutes late. What shall we do? Today's a solo performance." And Miss Yoshino's, "Don't worry. Master Shiguma found someone to fill in for us." He's like, "You mean the Shiguma?" It's like, "Yes, Master Shiguma Arakawa, the number 2 of the prestigious Arakawa school." It's like, "Are you sure about this? Do we have enough to pay?" And Yoshino's like, "Oh, don't be silly. That won't be a problem." And you have, "Pardon me, hello. Oh, goodness." Poor Guriko's wearing a shirt that just says "thoughtless" on it. And Yoshino's like, "Ah, Guri-chan, they sent you?" And he goes, "Thank you for the other day, by the way." And she's like, "Well, Guriko Arakawa would be wonderful." She's like, "I'm so glad you're here to perform." He's like, "Actually, it's not me." She's like, "Oh?" And you see Akane just kind of parting the curtain as she walks in. And he goes, "It's her." And Miss Yoshino's just like struck. She's like, "What? This girl? But she's so young. A teenager in school? And she looks so flashy." And you see this because she has like the tips of her hair done. And she's wearing like these earrings. It's like, she doesn't seem like the typical Rakugo type. And Akane goes, "Are you the proprietor of this establishment, ma'am?" And Miss Yoshino's like, "Huh? Oh, yes. It's like, I've come here at the behest of Shiguma Arakawa to serve as a replacement. Akane Osaki at your service." And she bows and goes, "I will endeavor to make the very most of this treasured opportunity. Thank you very much, ma'am." She's like, "What's with her? She's so sweet, but a little uptight." She's like, "Oh no, thank you." And Guriko's like, "Boy, you sure put on a different face with her than you do with me, don't ya?" And they're kind of just glaring back at him like, "Why, whatever do you mean, sir? I am being exceedingly normal." And Yoshino goes, "I'll show you to the back room for performers." It's like, "Yes, ma'am." And Akane's like, "Was I talking weird?" "No, I was just being polite. That was normal. Very normal. And I'm definitely not feeling nervous. Nope, not utterly terrified in the least." And you see, but she's her face is just starting to kind of show the anxiety. It's like, "I mean, sure, my heart's beating a bit faster at the thought of my first public performance, but those are like good heartbeats. Excitement, not nerves. My body is shivering for the same reason. A good reason. Anticipation. I'm shaking because I just can't wait to do this." And you're just kind of like shaking as she's nervously trying to walk forward. It's like, "I'm totally fine. I know what I'm doing. This is going to be easy." And Guriko's just watching going, "Is she okay?" And you see as the small room is filling up, and you see the sign with Akane's name on it, someone's going, "Who's Akane? Thought this was supposed to be a one-man show." It's like, even at those, sometimes they have a Zenza opener go first. Isn't it weird that the performer just has one name? Who is this Akane anyway? And Yoshino at the back's like, "That's a good question. I asked, and she's not actually Master Shiguma's pupil." And she thinks back to Guriko telling her, she's like, "She's not?" It's like, this is our first time? And Gori goes, I'm sure he has a reason for sending her. Worst case scenario, I'll clean up after her. Please, just let her go out there. It's like, Guri-chan gave me his reassurances, but is she gonna be okay? And you see Guri just kind of going, once the music starts, you're on. It's like, hey, can you hear me? And Kane's like, huh? Oh yeah. It's like, you're right, this kimono masterline beat does fit perfectly. It's like, okay, I get it, you're nervous. She's like, huh? Hey, I'm not nervous. It's like, listen, here's what you do. When you're nervous, just write the kanji for person on your dominant hand and swallow it. Works like a charm. She's like, yeah, I'm not an idiot. It symbolizes devouring the audience before they devour you, so you don't have to be afraid of them. Everyone knows that one. And he goes, dummy, you're not just devouring the audience. Rakugoka used their dominant hand to signify dominating the audience. Even Master does this from time to time before really big shows. And she's like, he does? And you see her just rapidly just going to scribble on her hand. Like, see, I knew you were rattled. She's like, shut up. It's like, listen, don't stress over it too much. Nobody's perfect from the very start. It's like, are you supposed to be like a good person or something? It's like, what do you mean supposed to be? Like, sorry, just kidding. She's like, hey, thanks. I feel a bit better now. She ties her hair up in a little ponytail. It's like, alright, here I go. The swish, she just goes like boldly striding out onto the stage. Jeff, huh? A kid? Isn't that a girl? And you see just kind of a slow clap as she goes and sits down on the cushion and just bows. And then she looks up with a, yikes! So many people. I mean, I knew that. I knew there would be. From up here, pressure's intense. Plus, I feel so alone. All success or failure is solely of my own making. And you see one of the audience members going, she still hasn't said a word. It's like no one's going to come up to my aid on stage. It's terrifying. I can feel my skin prickling. But I chose to come here of my own free will. Don't break down. Don't chicken out. Just execute. Just draws in a deep breath and just lets it out. She goes, take everything I've built up. She goes, ba-bum, 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 as her heart's beating. It's like everything that exists inside of me. Summon it right here and now. And put it out there. She goes, well, I think we're all familiar with the concept of likes and dislikes. You like this, you hate that. Everyone's tastes are personal and unique. And Corey goes like, oh good, she's finally going. She's projecting her voice. Her movements are sharp. She's completely different than she was just a moment ago. But it's too early to rest easy. Rakugo isn't just giving a speech. It's the art of depicting conversation. It's like I looked behind me and there it was. A Rakugoka has to perform all the characters of a story and make the audience laugh through their interactions. It's like there what was. What do you think? It's obvious. It's like you might even call it a one-man show. All coiled up waiting to strike. It's like you have to present everything in the story yourself, from each and every character to the narration. But you're only one person. And you see you're just kind of slowly making little snake kind of finger puppet things. So lifting its curved head just like so. It's like it's impossible to completely distinguish each and every detail. The jaws opening wide. So that's why a Rakugoka has to utilize facial expressions, gestures, and vocal mannerisms. And you're just making a face going, long tongue going, flicka, flicka, flick, flicka. And she's like narrowing her eyes and sticking her tongue out. It's like to engage the audience's imagination. It's like, I get it. You don't like snakes, huh? Alright, very interesting. What about you then? What are you afraid of? It's like her voice, glances, finger movements, everything raises the clarity and quality of the story. She's very expressive. And you see her doing it. It's like, it's spiders for me. Ooh, I hate them. It's like, I'd say frogs hopping all over, real creepy like. It's like slugs, slimy, slippery slugs. It's like she has the acting skill to make it clear who's speaking at all times. She's faithful to the fundamentals. It's like, what am I afraid of? I ain't afraid of nothing. Humanity is the very top of the food chain. It's all of which makes clear that she has pure talent for Rakugo. Ken, I love these panels and scenes where you see the characters being, like the characters she's acting being imposed on top of the performance, or to be like supplementing it, to kind of give it, what's the word I'm looking for? I wanted to give it more heft, but like make it more impactful. You have, what do I gotta be afraid of? You have scared of Manju. In this story, the young men of a town banter about what they're most afraid of, with one claiming that he's afraid of nothing. He admits, however, that one thing can cause him to faint with fright. It's like, I'm afraid of sweet Manju buns. It's like, this, however, is an outright lie. The other men resolve to confront him with a whole bunch of Manju to frighten him. And you have, God, I nearly need to put a notepad so I can remember the names. But you have Yoshino going, what am I watching? This far exceeds what I'd expect of an amateur giving their first performance. She isn't even a formal apprentice yet. But why does it feel so familiar? You have the Manju scared him so bad he fainted right to sleep. While he's knocked out, we'll line up a bunch of those sweet buns packed with delicious on-bean paste and laugh when he freaks out. Get it? We'll kill him with Manju. You could call it an on-assassination. Oh, God, that was good. Such a dumb joke. And then you see at this time, like you see the shadow of like her father mimicking the same movements behind her. You see Yoshino kind of like covering her mouth in surprise. She goes, Shin-chan? It's like, Manju! It's like, oh no, spooky Manju! You have Kuriko going, what happened to all of your nerves before the show? Even with Master's guidance, it's only been 6 years. And you see her going, I'm so scared. It's like, you don't get skill at this level in just 6 years. Like, so many scary Manju. Oh, very frightening. You see her arms just kind of like shaking. It's like, and she's got such boldness on stage. You'd never think this was her first time with an audience. It's like, damn it, forget being scared. Forget about being scared of Manju. You're the most terrifying thing I've seen lately. As you're just licking her lips as she's stuffing her face. Like, the Manju are so scary. Like, could do Manju, just at Manju. So dreadful. And Ocean's like, this is cruel. What a terrible trick, Master Shiguma. Sending this girl to me without any information about her, and then asking for my thoughts. I'm going to quickly zoom in so I can read this. So you see the message he sent her was Miss Yoshino, Rakugo Cafe. So as for the replacement, I have a request regarding the person sent over to you. Would you be willing to tell me your opinion of this person's Rakugo performance? You see over 1,000 performances every year, so... And then he signs it off with her name. It's like, he was lying! If he's so afraid of Manju, why is he eating them? Jeff, I'm at a loss for words. The only thing I could possibly say is that she was incredible. Alright. So I guess quick little review stuff before we cap off this video as well. So, man, I love like the little humanizing personal touches where you see Akane kind of dealing with her anxiety, her nervousness, the stage fright before the performance, as she's trying to like gas herself up and she's trying to like God, sorry, my brain is just petering out on me. And just like trying to like set herself up for the performance, like boost up her confidence before she goes up on stage. And I think that does a lot to kind of help the reader kind of relate to her as a character. And I feel like it's definitely the most impactful scenes before the story, when you have, the way the art is set up with the perception of, the where the audience is sitting being like this long, narrow like focus, just like zooming in on her, which kind of makes it feel a lot more claustrophobic because you're like solely focused on her and like how big the, because even though it's in a small space, it's kind of engaging your perception to make the audience look bigger than they are, which kind of like ups the anxiety factor and everything. So I really, really appreciate those little touches, like personal touches, being put in there. I also like the Gorokuri just giving like the little narration about, like, what Rakugo is, like, how come it's an art that takes so much skill to master, and why not everyone is cut out for it. But yeah, because I know some people have pointed this out because it's like semi spoilers for the series thus far. I know people have pointed out that from what they've read so far, like Akane hasn't really struggled a lot with Rakugo, with the performances, and she hasn't really faced like any kind of adversity or things yet. So it'll be interesting to see if that does come up in the later chapters, because it still is very early on with the series. But yeah, it's definitely something that was at the back of my mind reading these chapters. Like, there was never like a moment where she has like even a slight slip up that she has to recover from. It was just like flawless performance, start to finish. So I'm wondering if we are going to get to a point where we'll see her start struggling with a little more. If we're going to see her starting to play off against, different rivals and everything. But yeah, I wish I could do justice to kind of like the different facial expressions and the emotions and everything. But again, like, art is very, very well done. Does a really good job of selling it. Series continues to be really, really good. So yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed that. I'm gonna try to get through to 2 more chapters of the series for next week, and then, like I mentioned in the chapter 1 video, I'm gonna try to do 5 chapters or so a week, and hopefully by the end of July I will be caught up with this. Like I also mentioned at the start of the video, if you like my content, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, because it really does help me out a lot, and it means I can keep making more content like this. But I do really appreciate everyone tuning in for these videos and helping me retweet them. And until next time, this is Ash. Talk to you all later.